Tycoon Online. This is Jay Chen, and I'm going to talk about the shares or the stock exchange and particularly your company's shares. Okay, so your shares are over here on the left, right here. You click on shares, and it gives you the first page is buy shares, so you can buy other people's shares. It also gives you a page of all the shares that you have, your past dividends, and how much stock points you got for selling a share and for your dividends. Okay, so the first thing you should know is that if you have any of your own shares, so in your own company, you don't get any dividends from those. So it's usually a good idea to sell all of your own shares. So I don't have any of my own shares. Now, when you want to sell them is really up to you. If you start the round in the very beginning, I believe it's best to just sell all your shares, because in the beginning no one has shares, so everyone's looking to buy shares, so it's really easy for your shares to be sold. Later on in the round, if you join late, I would argue that it's not that great an idea to sell your shares early on, because no one's gonna realize that your shares are for sale, and you might get one or two, but won't really mean anything. Later on, I feel like it's better to wait a little bit when your value goes up and you can get more from your shares. But that's really up to you. But that's basically what you do for your shares. You either sell them all right now or really early, get some quick cash, build really fast, or you save them and you wait till your shares are higher value so that you can sell them off for a bigger profit later. Anyways, okay, so let's talk about buying shares. When you click buy shares, it gives you the share name, the MD, the cost, and the latest dividend. In the very beginning of the game, early on in the round, I would recommend that you click on someone's name, for example, and it will pop up with their share, but you don't want to click on shareholder. Well, in the beginning, it will probably be shareholder. But instead, you want to find out who is the MD of this company. So it actually said that before. But if you don't remember, you can click on the company name. A little window will pop up. And you see the MD is Carl. So then you can click on Carl's name. Here. You can click on Carl's name. You can scroll down. And here's something very important you can look at. You can look at the past results from Carl. As you can see, Carl is a pretty good player. He usually comes in pretty, top 50, except for this one time. Oh no, well, and I guess you can't expect everyone's first round to do very well. And so Carl has been doing pretty well. So if early game, if you're not sure whose share to buy, Carl seems like a good share to buy. That's early game. Right now, that would depend on what he's doing and how much dividends you're getting. So let's go back to this. So you click on a share, and it gives you some information. Obviously, the company value, the C rank of the company, the stockpile. This is what you really want to look at. This is the stockpile. It's basically this number divided by 50 is how much dividends you're going to get, roughly. And obviously, it's going to grow. And then you can predict how much it will grow, but you can not predict, but you can get a good feeling. Okay, it's Tuesday, so it's been 2 days, and his stockpile has grown this much, right? If you can't really understand this, you can what you can do is you can go to shares, and you go to your own shares, the shares that you have, not the shares in your company, and you click on a random one. Let's say I just click on this one, Mohammed EHF, and I look at his stockpile. His stockpile is 80. Well, I'm not gonna buy one at 15 if my other shares have like stockpiles of 80. Oh, sorry, 80,000, and the other one, I think it's Blackout Int, had a stockpile of 15,000. So relatively, for me, it's not a really good idea to buy that share. I also have some very good shares, so it's going to be very difficult for me to find better ones. But that's basically what you want to look at. Oh, sorry, let's go back to this. When you buy your shares, the last thing you want to look at, along with the stockpile, is you want to see the total dividends paid from the last dividends section. Sorry, in this section, total dividends paid and the last stockpile. So this is very important because if you look at this, his last dividend was 74,000, but he only paid 71,000. So of this 15,000, 3,000 was from last week. This will give you a rough idea of how well they're growing. I can't think of a good example. Okay, so for example, all right, so this company's shares, sorry, his company is called Deep in the Woods, and his so basically his this week's stockpile, he's gained 12,000, about 12,000. Okay, now let's go to shares. I'll give you another one to compare, and let's take a look at okay, he has 1,400. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. Okay, so if you look at this, you might say, oh, 25,000, that's a lot more than 15,000. I'm going to buy this one instead of the other one. But you got to be careful about this, right? You got to look at the latest dividend. The latest dividend here, it shows that his stockpile was 70,000 and he paid 54,000. So of this 25,000, what is the math? 16,000 of it was from the last week's. So this one's, in terms of this week's stockpile, was actually less than the other one. So that's something you want to look at, and you have to just be very careful when you buy your shares. The last week's stockpile might inflate this week's stockpile and make it look like a really good share when it's actually not that great. Last week's stockpile can only carry over 50,000. So just keep that in mind when you're buying your shares. Okay, so that's how I would buy my shares. The last thing that I would talk about with buying shares is that, say you look at all the stockpiles and everything and you realize it's not really all that great. None of these shares have stockpiles higher than the ones I already have. So what am I going to do? Just do nothing? I would actually recommend that you still buy shares. And instead, let's go to cost, sort by cost, and I'll actually just go to like page 3, for example. All right, see all these people that are basically like no one knows about. So what I want to do is I want to just pick out a random share and I'm just gonna buy it. Not a random share, I guess, but I would just look at it. Look at Arthur Group. I don't know, Cameron Arthur. That seems like an awesome name. Alright, so I click on this and I see that obviously he had a stockpile before. He didn't pay very much in dividends. Probably only like 1 or 2 people had his shares. Oh look, I'm one of them. And he obviously has a lot left over. And then because of that, so if you look at his stockpile, he paid 800 of this. So 19,000 was from last week's. And this is how much stockpile he has now. And the reason why I would recommend that if you don't have any other better shares to buy a really low share, is because you only get dividends from your top 50 shares. So let's go to my shares. You can sort by shares I received dividend from, and you hit show, and it will tell you just basically which ones you get your dividends from. So I go down. Okay, so the last one I get dividends from is from Royal Woods. So anybody below this, I don't get dividends. So I sometimes would just go around and I would just buy like a really low share, and I'm gonna hope that it grows. And I can hope it grows, or I can just contact the guy and tell him, hey, I'll help you with your company. It's usually what I do. and then I hope that, because I'm helping him, hopefully his company will grow more. And then when his company grows more, maybe he'll reach up to here somewhere, and then I will get his dividend or her dividend. Sorry. So that's one of the things I would recommend, is to always buy 5 shares every single day. Okay, now let's talk about selling shares. Okay, so first thing I always do is I sort by shares that I receive dividends from. I figure out where is my bottom share, so it's this one and the value is at 1,863. I just got to keep a mental note of that. And then I'm going to sort by latest dividend. And I'm going to, okay, so if you don't have gold membership, you don't see this column. You're going to have to click on every single share to look at the stockpile. I'm sorry. But if you do have gold membership, you have this column. So I'm going to scroll down to here. I'll say, okay, Royal Woods. So his stockpile is 83,782. Now, hypothetically, if I were to sell 5 shares, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Above him, I would get the next 5 below him, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I take a look at these 5 numbers. Okay, so I got 65,000, 65,000, 81,000. All right, so those are the numbers here. If I were to sell anybody above there, I would get these. So I think about that. Well, I don't really want Brown Industry because he's only 65,000. But actually, if I sell this one at 63, I'd rather take 65 over 63, right? So in this case, I might want to sell this share and get this dividend. I'd actually probably want to sell this one and these because the rest of them below that look even higher. But okay, so anyways, every single day I try to sell about 5 shares. Sometimes I only sell a couple, but I want to sell about 5 shares because you get stock points from gains. So if your share, let's go back to the changes. Okay, let's go back down to where I was looking at Brown Industry. Okay, so I bought Brown Industry at 900 something and at 1200 something, and it's climbed a little bit. But if I sell it right now, I get a little bit of stock points. I think it's 1 point for every 200, but just a little bit. It's not much, but it's what would be better. Like the incentive is not just to sell your stocks for capital gains. The incentive is actually just to sell them so that your top 50 are your best shares. So what I'm talking about is, let's go back to the latest dividends. So I would skim this and say, oh, look at this guy, only 66,000. That's a little low compared to some of the other guys. I gotta be careful. I gotta keep my eye out. This one's 67. I might want to sell some of these shares. 63, and then here we are back here. Okay, so I'm thinking about selling this one, these two at 65, and possibly these two at 66. And then before I do that, I want to see, did I already sell any shares today? Because you only get stock points from your top 5. So to see if you got those, you can click on stock points. Today's date is the 27th, so it looks like I've already sold 5 shares, and some of them were some big gains, some of them were not. But I've already gotten my my stock points from these, and I could sell another 5 more. I'll still get the money. I won't get the stock points, but I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow, just to see, because who knows? Maybe these guys were just having a bad day, and I'll just give them one more day to see what's going on. Anyway, so that's basically how you want to manage your portfolio or your stocks. Just make sure that you're top 50. So where's your line? So mine was right here. Royal Woods was the last one, and I basically sell any of them above this one that are lower than my top 55 basically, and that's basically what I do. It doesn't take a lot of time, as you can see. Just click, click, click. If you don't have gold membership, yes, it does take a little time to click on every single share and possibly write down or remember or sort of mental note which ones have the least amount of stockpile, and then get rid of those. Okay, and then the last thing I want to tell you about buying shares is, okay, so your dividends, I didn't tell you about this link. This tells you the total dividends that you are paying. This is really irrelevant to you. Like for your company, you don't get any of your dividends. Like your stockpile just is completely irrelevant. So don't even worry about this. One thing that is sort of useful if you want to see. I mentioned this in my other video, but you can go to the records page. And you can scroll down and go to greatest dividend received, sort by this round only, and you can see your competition. So you can see, I am first, but Carl Roberts is not too far behind me. He's getting also quite a lot in dividends. So if I don't manage my stocks every single day and get rid of the bad ones and potentially buy some new ones, I will probably fall. I might go to, if I don't do anything, I might be in like 5th or something. That's about it. Anyways, oh, I forgot to mention one more thing about buying shares. So when you click shares, all these shares will be available for you to see, and even if somebody already bought one. So let's say somebody already bought Delhi. Is that Delhi? Delhi? Yeah, I guess I just pronounced Delhi. Um, if somebody already bought this share and I try and buy it, it will. Well, somebody already ordered this share. Order, not buy. If they already ordered this share will actually still show up on the market until the next 10-minute tick. So you might see a share, you click on it, you hit buy a share, and you think you got it. You know, your order is in, but you might not. It might show up in red later. Just like this one, see? Purchase one share, see? I did not get this one. I'm going to cancel this because I don't actually want this share. But that is what you would do. Well, that's just basically how it happens. So the shares, they can show up at any time. So if you keep clicking this link, it will refresh, and if a new one pops up, then you'll see it. A good thing to note is that if you buy, if you just happen to click shares and it is near the 10-minute tick, and you see a really good share and you try and buy it, chances are someone else already got it because, as I said, all the shares will stay here until that 10-minute tick, even if somebody else ordered it. So just keep that in mind. But if you want to buy good shares, you just got to check back on the shares periodically. I sometimes like to alternate between for sale and shares just because whenever I need to buy stuff, I go click happy and I just buy lots of stuff. So anyways, that is it. That's basically how you compete in the S rank. The S rank, I guess it's just another rank just for bragging rights. It doesn't really do anything for you, being in a higher rank. The only thing it does for you is that you get more dividends, and so therefore you get more money, and with more money you can, do stuff. I'm kind of poor, but that's okay. Kind of poor, yeah, just a little bit. Anyways, so that is S rank is not all that important, but it is still very useful. It's still very useful because every week you get money, and one thing to note, just as a little side note here, my staff, I pay my staff after after I get money from dividends, and all the money that I get from dividends is more than enough to cover my staff salary. I also pay my staff $1 an hour, but but yes. Anyway, so that is another good reason why you want to participate in the S rank and you want to buy shares, is because you get money every week, and it's very useful. It's a really great boost, so you definitely want to do it. Depending on your strategy, it might not be enough to cover your dividends, so you gotta be careful about that. Oh, one last thing I want to mention. So before I wanted to sell a share, right? Let me remember what it was. I think it was called Brown Industry, right? That was the one that wasn't performing very well. I can click on it. I can scroll down and take a look if anybody else is selling it. This will help you because if you notice that lots of people are selling it and it's not being sold, then chances are you're not gonna be able to sell it either. So that's something to keep in mind. And one last thing, I keep forgetting these things. Go back to this. I forgot to look at this. This is the risk class. This basically tells you how often they sign on. Obviously, if it's 1, that means they pretty much sign on every single day. If they start skipping a few days, their risk class goes up. So this is something you want to look at when you buy or sell shares. I will probably sell his share tomorrow because his risk class is 3. If it's 2 or above, I usually sell. If I notice it, I would usually sell. And also his stockpile's not doing very good, so that tells me 2 things, right? He's not taking care of his company, and he's not there, and obviously he's not making money because he's not there. I mean, he could be making money without being there, but I don't know. Anyways, but it's just something you want to look at. And that is it. That is basically how you want to compete in the S rank, and you really want to compete in the S rank. If you look at the buy shares, there are a lot of people selling shares, and even though I would not buy them, some of these shares are really, really good. Especially if you don't have any dividends, you want to consider buying some of these because most of these shares For example, like this one, it's cost less than what you get. You know, you pay 3,000. Where is it? Where's the value of it? You pay 3,225 now, and you're gonna get like 3,000 like every week, or maybe not every week, but it's still a good amount. And there are some people whose values is lower than their dividends, so you want to invest in those. Okay, so that is. I hope I covered everything. Yeah, I think I got everything. All right, so good luck with that. Make sure you do buy 5 shares and or sell shares every week. I tend to have roughly about 80 shares. I carry that. Just I have some low-lying ones that I try to help out. I message them, new players and whatnot. That's my preference. You don't have to. You can keep just 50. But I think it's always good to have a little more so you can sell. 55, I think, is maybe a good number. So, but yeah, buy shares, guys. Buy. All right. Okay. Have fun and see you guys next time. Bye.